Good morning, this is Jeannie with Nona Scraps, and today I'm going to be using a graphic I've used in the past but in a little bit different way. I'm going to be making stamps with fun foam on my zing. So this technique is just about the stamps. You can use them in any way, shape, or form you want. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import, pixel trace, an image, and I'm going to use this cupcake image, black and white, the alpha so I can really see it, and I'm going to go ahead, I like that, and import it. Select no, and I've got the image on my Mac now. I'm going to size this down to 3 inches square, a little more manageable, also a little better for a card, and let me see, I think I'll go just a little smaller on the height. The largest dimension will be 3. Alrighty. Now, I'll zoom in. I want it to print out and I want to cut it. So my shadow, I said matte, I'm sorry, my shadow needs to just go around it enough that I'll be getting the image itself. And I'm going to apply a blackout to that and accept it. Over on my layers bar, I have a separate shadow, and I'm going to turn off my sketch graphic because now I'm going to create the mat that I'm going to place this image on. And remember, we're planning ahead. So I'm going to create a mat, apply that. It's still not quite right. I like a little bit of color to it. Accept. And this one, I'm going to move down here. You can see there's a larger area. This will actually be texturized in the not too distant future, but for now I'm going to make it blue or green. I'm going to make it green so you can see it. Over on my layers bar, I'm going to put matte so that I know that it will be underneath all of my layers. Now I'm going to turn back on my graphic and I'm going to double check the size of this because the matte will be the largest part, so 3.5. Now I have to start working with this particular image. When this is traced or printed, in the end I will cut this layer, the one that's now black. So I'm going to change the name of that to cut layer. Oops. Cut layer. That way I know I have to cut it. On the cupcake, I'm just going to put sketch. DNC, do not cut. And you'll see why this is going to make a big difference when I get ready to send it to my zing. Now what I'm going to do is turn off these layers, and I'm going to duplicate. I need to make sure that one goes on this stack. Duplicate this layer just once. I'm going to apply it and bring my duplicate over here. This is the fun part of this little process. What I'm going to do, I'll break it up and I'm going to create stamps for the main part of my stamped out image. Yes, I said stamps. I'll be using fun foam and cutting them on my zing. The first thing I have to do, when you stamp something, you need to reverse the image. So I'm going to mirror my image to the original. Now I'm going to shape magic and break. And now I'm going to pull apart the pieces that I'm going to need. Will be my frosting, my cherry, and my cupcake cup. And I'm going to get rid of what I don't need. Let me zoom in and I'll show you. Okay, cup gone. All of these little crosshairs are little bits and pieces of the graphic that I am not going to use. So I'm just going to get rid of them. Now my cherry is good. There is a lot on this that the zing might not cut so well, and this is kind of a funky stamped image. So on the frosting, I'm going to create a shadow layer, minimal shadow layer. just enough to close up all of those little looped areas. And apply a blackout. One. Apply blackout. Now remember, my shadow is 0.40, and I'm going to accept that. Okay, I'm going to leave this black here. What I want you to notice is that this is going to be larger, it's also stamped, than this one. So now I can leave it like that and it'll be fine. I'm going to change this to white. And you can see how that black just fills in behind it. Okay, now I can actually get rid of that. So get rid of it. I'm going to create a minimal shadow for the cupcake holder too. Just minimal. Like I said, all I really want to do is fill it in. Accept it. Move the solid bit out and get rid of that. I'm not going to need all those nice little marks because they're going to be stamped. Okay, now I'm going to send this to its own layer. Should have done that in the beginning actually. Because I want all my stamps on one layer, and I'm going to name those stamps. Okay, move a little closer together here. Okay, now I'm going to go back to clean up my layers. I'm going to go back to this. My background I'm going to change to white so I can see. If you notice where the positions of my layers in this top to bottom listing, if something is going to be sketched, it needs to be above the cut outline. And otherwise it will not visualize and it will not print. All I'll get is a piece of white paper that can be cut. So that's why I'm very persnickety about making sure that these two layers are in this order with the sketched on top of the outline. Now I want to make sure these are centered just a little better, so I grab both areas, both cuts, both layers, go to Align in Space, Align, Stack. And MTC just perfectly centers everything where it's supposed to be. I just love that feature of this software. And now I'm going to be able to take, I'll zoom out, and I'm going to print. I'm going to turn off this layer by clicking on the eye. I'm going to move this to the here. Because my stamps are turned off, you'll never see them. I'm going to turn on my matte, and I'm going to grab texture for that. Texture, and I'm going to go to my Letter and Delights files, and I do believe I am going to make it, I just got the Baby Cakes paper, and I really like those, so I think I'll use this one, the Baby Cakes flatware, and I'll scale to 100, about 107%. I'll print, and I'm going to send this to my printer, and I will be back in just a second to show you a trick with cutting. Okay, before I actually cut, I've got one more thing to do, and I'm going to turn off the sketch. Like I said earlier, if I go ahead and leave this visualized, the machine will interpret it as something that needs to be cut, and we don't want all of these little pieces cut out right now. So it does nothing to my print and cut because the shape, this is a larger of the two shapes, and everything is still visualized.